Additional Buyer's Stamp Duty, or ABSD, has been a much dreaded term for property investors, but it has been a very effective tool used by the authorities in Singapore to rein in the escalating property prices over the years. While the formula for ABSD calculation can be simple, there are different permutations of possible scenarios that could confuse most people, especially if you are intending to restructure your property portfolio in the next few months. Now, for example, under what circumstances can ABSD be refunded? What do we mean by remission of ABSD? Now, when there is a married couple consisting of a Singapore citizen and a PR or a foreigner, how is ABSD being calculated? Do they need to be married in Singapore? Is it true that a couple with existing properties can still get refunded for the ABSD for their next home purchase if they wish to co-own the new property? You see, these are among the many different scenarios that could affect the strategy for your next home purchase. And I thought it would be helpful to shoot this video and offer some insights based on different examples so that we can dispel common misconceptions and help you strategize for your next move. Before we proceed, I would like to stress that I am taking reference from the official guidelines at this time when I'm shooting this video and using examples that I have encountered in my real estate work. The official guidelines may change according to the market conditions, and I am not offering any tax planning advice. You should always seek professional advice from the lawyers or accountants for tax planning purposes. Alright, before we dive into the different scenarios, let's take a very quick look at the basic facts about Buyer's Stamp Duty and ABSD. Now, essentially, the Buyer's Stamp Duty increases with the price of the property that you purchase, as you can see from the table. If the purchase price is more than $1 million, a quick calculation is to multiply the purchase price by 4% and then minus $15,400 from the amount, and you will get the Buyer's Stamp Duty payable. Next, let's take a look at the ABSD table, which is listed according to the latest cooling measures beginning from the 6th of July 2018. Now, you'll notice that the key criteria to determine the additional Buyer's Stamp Duty to be paid are your residency status and the number of properties that you own before the new purchase. So, for example, a Singapore citizen who has no existing property will not need to pay ABSD for his first home purchase. But please note that the normal Buyer's Stamp Duty is still payable. Whereas in the case of a Singapore PR buying his first home, you'll see that there is a 5% ABSD that's payable on top of the normal Buyer's Stamp Duty. Now that we have talked about a second property purchase, it is appropriate for me to raise the question of ABSD refund. Now, do you know under what circumstances can the ABSD of your second property be refunded? Firstly, you need to understand that refund of ABSD is allowed when a married couple consisting of a Singapore citizen spouse co-purchase a second property and sell their first property within 6 months of the date of the purchase, or TOP or CSC, whichever is applicable. Note that it has to be a married couple consisting of a Singapore citizen spouse, and if they are friends or if they are not married, then definitely there is no refund. Now, please also note that it is a refund, meaning that ABSD still needs to be paid first, and then the refund is processed if the conditions are satisfied. Now, let's take a look at a few scenarios where refund of ABSD is allowed so that you have a better idea. The first is for a purchase of a completed resale property. So Mr. and Mrs. Slim own an existing HDB flat or a completed private property, and they purchase a second property which is a completed property together, and they pay the ABSD for this purchase. Within 6 months from the date of exercising the option to purchase the second property, they sell their existing first property. So in this case, they're allowed to claim for a refund of the ABSD that they have paid for the second property. Let's take a look at another scenario of a purchase of a property under construction. So again, we have Mr. and Mrs. Slim, who owns an existing HDB flat or a completed private property. They purchase a second property, which is a property under construction, together, and they pay the ABSD for this purchase. Now, within 6 months from the date of TOP of that second property, they sell their first property. Now in this case, they are allowed to claim for a refund of the ABSD that they paid on the second property. Now that we understand about ABSD refund, let's proceed to learn more about remission of ABSD. Now, remission of ABSD is allowed in the situation where it is a first property purchase by a married couple consisting of a Singapore citizen spouse and a non-citizen. Now, under this condition, you do not need to pay ABSD. So please note the emphasis on first property purchase and married couple consisting of one Singapore citizen spouse in order for the condition to be satisfied. So bearing that in mind, let's have a little quiz on whether remission of ABSD is allowed. So the first scenario is this. You have a Singapore citizen and a Singapore PR married couple purchasing a first property together. The second scenario is this. You have a Singapore citizen and a foreigner married couple purchasing a first property together. So the question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is which of this scenario is ABSD payable? Take a moment, think about it. Alright, well, if your answer is none of them, then you're correct. There's no ABSD payable for both scenarios because of the Singapore citizen spouse purchasing the first property together as a married couple. It is also helpful to also note that, it doesn't matter where the marriage took place. It can be in Singapore or overseas. So, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are many permutations that could result in different scenarios with regards to the amount of ABSD that you need to pay. Likewise, there are also different scenarios that determine whether you qualify for the refund or remission of ABSD. Next, I will show you a few tables that illustrate some of these scenarios. The first table refers to the case of a couple consisting of both Singapore citizens. There are two important points to take note. First, if one or both the spouses own one existing property to the names and go ahead to co-purchase the next property, they are eligible to claim for a refund of the ABSD if the first property is disposed of, as mentioned earlier in this video. Now, however, please note that if either of the spouse owns two or more existing properties and they go ahead to co-purchase a new property, they are not eligible for a refund even if the first two properties are sold after the new purchase. So the key takeaways are, firstly, it is very important that the new purchase must be a co-purchase. Secondly, if you own two or more existing properties and if you want to claim for a refund of the ABSD for the next new co-purchase with your spouse, you need to drop your existing property count to 1 first before you go ahead with your co-purchase. Otherwise, you will not be eligible for your refund. The next table refers to the case of a married couple consisting of 1 Singapore citizen and 1 Singapore PR. The scenarios are the same as the earlier table, except for the ABSD rates. You may pause this video to study the figures. And the next table here refers to the case of a married couple consisting of 1 Singapore citizen and 1 foreigner. Again, the scenarios are the same as the earlier tables, except for the ABSD rates. You may pause this video to study the figures. So what we have touched so far are just some common situations with regards to ABSD. I've also encountered more profound situations where purchase of properties may involve individual purchase, legacy planning for children, or there are also cases of young adults from well-to-do families who are getting financial support from their parents. So under such circumstances, how could they go about planning for their purchase? Every family situation could be different, and I would love to share some of these ideas with you in person for your next home purchase with a strategy tailored for your unique circumstances. If you're still watching this video now, you know this is important. The next logical step for you really is to reach out to me on my cell phone 9697-1131 or click on any link or button that are associated with this video. I've also explained in my other videos offering insights on topics such as resale properties versus new launches, why location itself may not dictate your profitability, and also the untold story of the Draft Master Plan 2019. You may find these insights presented in my website singaporeproperty.tv. If this video resonates with you, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to share this video on social media so that more people can benefit from it. My name is PK So, and I look very much forward to meeting you soon. Cheers.